In this video, I will tell you how I lost weight in 2020, that's 6 years ago, without doing any diets. And I'll also tell you what I do to maintain my results 6 years later. A very, very short backstory. Between 2017 and 2019, I gained weight for health reasons. I needed to gain weight. I know it maybe sounds hard to believe, but before that, I had really overtrained myself and my hormones were not working correctly, and I needed to give my body a break from lots of training, and I had to eat more in order to get my health back on track. However, I just ended up eating more and more and more and more than what was needed for my health. So my health was already okay, but I continued to eat, and this is how I continued to gain more and more weight. I decided that I'm gonna get to work and build back my fitness, but I did not want to do it the way I had basically forced myself into shape previously. In the past, I had done a ton of cardio training, ton of HIIT training, really exhausted myself. I ate very little, and that's why I got really thin, and that's why I got into all of these health troubles. So now I wanted to get back in shape, but not do any of that intense, hardcore, unhealthy overtraining, undereating stuff anymore. That was a big no for me. And the last thing that I wanted to do after really enjoying the food was to starve myself the way I did in the past. Like, absolutely no. However, something needed to be done. So I got to work. And here are the things that I started doing in 2020 that really helped me to get back in shape. Number one, I started using the MyFitnessPal app and tracking my macros. I actually went back and looked up when I started, and it was March 27, 2020. This is when I started tracking my macros. All this data is still in the app, so it's been fun to go back and see what I did. And I found that I actually made several mistakes. Some of the things that I now tell my clients, don't make this mistake and don't make that mistake. For example, I would log things like a medium apple or a cup of yogurt. But I quickly learned that I can't do this. I actually have to weigh my food, put it in a food scale, and it was the most eye-opening experience to see what I'm eating, where are my calories coming from, and also that I'm not getting all that much protein at all. My tracking got more and more accurate, and I started to really pay attention to my protein. I started hitting 155 grams of protein every day. And I would say that was the most important thing that helped me to start losing body fat and build muscle. I started in March, and by October, I was already seeing pretty good results. See, I didn't tell you that it happened in 2 months or 3 months. From March to October was the time when I really started to notice the change is happening. By the way, if you wanna avoid making these mistakes that I made at the beginning and make sure that your tracking is really good from the beginning so that you can start getting great results right away, then go ahead and check out my other video where I'm talking about the mistakes that you might be making when using MyFitnessPal. Make sure that you check out this video. The second thing that I changed is that I started training way differently. In the past, I had done a ton of cardio. I used to run marathons and countless of half marathons. I also had a period of time when I got super into HIIT training. So I would do like burpees for a time or high knees for a time. Everything was always really intense and very cardio based. And like I said before, all this hardcore training combined with very little eating really was not good for my body. And when my hormones crashed, I had to take 6 months away from everything. And during that time, the only exercise I did was yoga and daily walking. Now, however, when I was ready to start losing some body fat again, I decided I'm not gonna do the crazy cardio stuff anymore. I found this podcast called Mind Pump, and these guys completely changed the way I trained. I started doing strength training, like real strength training. And this changed everything for me. This is when I started to notice that, wow, my body is really reshaping. It wasn't about just getting thinner and smaller and skinnier. It was building some shoulders. It was building definition in my quads. And also noticing that I don't have to cut my calories super low to start leaning out, because I was doing strength training and I was getting stronger and putting on muscle. Now, this was so critical for me. It was extremely important to start lifting seriously and not doing so much cardio, not focusing so much on calorie burn, not focusing how much weight am I losing. Actually, I started focusing on how much more weight can I pick up? Can I use heavier dumbbells? Can I add a few more plates to my barbell? These are the things that I really started getting interested in. I was working out so much more mindfully instead of just doing bazillion of reps, something really, really fast, pouring as much sweat as possible. I completely stopped doing it. And instead I focused on getting stronger, being present, being there when I was training. And it was the best thing that I've done. Learning from the Mind Pump guys really gave me a lot more than any of my personal training certifications had ever given me. I saw my body change, I saw my eating change, and I've used so many of these tools with my own clients as well. Number 3, I started walking more. During this time when I was only doing yoga, I still continued walking too. And I've always been a walker. I love to walk. But then it wasn't very intentional. I just walked when I wanted to get some fresh air, but I didn't track any of my steps. Now, when I started to get more intentional with my fat loss, then I set myself a goal. I'm gonna walk 10,000 steps every day. If the weather was bad, I couldn't go outside, well, I would just go to the gym and walk on the treadmill. It didn't matter how, I'm gonna get it done. And I know that for a lot of people, they look at the weekly average. They say, okay, as long as my weekly average is 10,000 steps, it's all good. But for me personally, it was easier to hit that 10K every single day so that I stayed on track. And this is what I did, and I still do it. Number 4, I reduced my alcohol. At first, when I started tracking my food with MyFitnessPal, I was still drinking some. We lived in California then, and there are a lot of cute little wineries you can go to. But it wasn't just the weekend wineries. It was also a random Tuesday evening coming back from teaching a boot camp and just opening a bottle of wine. Or a Friday evening and I would be working on my blog or something, and I would feel so creative when I had like a little glass of wine there. I would drink it. So I just had alcohol more often than was good for me. And alcohol is empty calories. You want it or not. It just really doesn't give you anything. And when you start logging your food, you also see how many calories actually come from alcohol. And you start thinking, do I really want to do this? Is this how I want to use my calories? So it made sense to start reducing the alcohol and use more of my calories for food. The 5th thing that I did was that I completely changed my mindset about weight loss. Here's what I mean. I never became obsessive and urgent with this weight loss project. I was never thinking, I have to lose 20 pounds by this month. I was not doing this stuff because, like I said in the past, I had done a lot of it. Like really obsessive, really thinking, giving all my power to the number on the scale. I did not do any of that anymore. Instead, this is how I treated this journey. I was thinking, okay, I'm working on these things now. I'm working on my calories, I'm tracking my food, I'm keeping my protein high, I'm gonna do my workouts, and I'm going to be patient with it. I'm gonna see where it takes me. Where can I get by being consistent over many months? What can I accomplish? And this was very different from my past, and it gave me so much peace of mind, and I was relaxed in this process. I didn't beat myself up if I sometimes went over my calories. I didn't beat myself up if I had to occasionally miss a workout, although it didn't happen often, but it was okay. I was in a so much better place mentally, and with my self-acceptance, it was so different compared to how I had done this in the past. Now, this doesn't mean that I didn't take this seriously. Of course I did. I gave it my best, but I also did have days when I wasn't doing that great, and that's okay. Then you just move on and try again the next day. So how am I doing now? Since that year, 2020, March 27th, that I started this whole process, I have never had to start over again. You know how people always start over because they just go overboard, because their diet was so restrictive and they couldn't handle it anymore, and then they binged, and then they beat themselves up, and they're like, I gotta start again tomorrow, or next month, or January, or New Year, whatever. I have never had to do this because the methods that I chose were based on habits. And here are the things that I still do that I started in this time. I still train 3 to 4 times a week. And if you want to see the types of workouts that I do, go ahead and check out my free workouts called Fit from Scratch. You can choose a beginner path or intermediate path. I still walk. I walk a lot. Every day at least 10,000 steps, and many days it's over 15,000 steps. I drink alcohol maybe once every couple of months. I just lost my interest in alcohol. Here's one thing that I don't do anymore though, which is tracking my food. That's because I did it for a long time and I learned through this process what it's like to get a high amount of protein, what it's like to get enough vegetables. And I don't need to track my food. If I want to occasionally check in, I might track a week and see where I'm at. But for the most part, I'm not tracking anymore because I learned and I practiced, and now I'm using the tools that I learned. Doesn't mean that I'm perfect. I'm not perfect. I do have sweet tooth. I do have some sugar every day. Maybe some of the things that people wouldn't approve, that this is not okay. I don't care because I have found what works for me. And if this is a little bit of sugar every day, at the same time, I'm keeping my protein high, I'm keeping my training, I'm still walking a lot. These are the habits that help me stay fit, and I've never had to start over again. Once you take couple of years to really get serious about building muscle, and at the same time you keep walking, keep moving your body, you're building a really good, strong, flexible metabolism that allows you to not track every little bite that you're eating, but be more flexible with it, because the muscle really uses this energy that you're taking in, and then your daily walks and daily movement also help you to keep your metabolism high. So that's why there's no need for people to track their food forever. If you enjoyed today's video, and if you're a woman over 40 who wants to get stronger and fitter and leaner, make sure to check out the next really important video. Thank you so much for being here today, and see you again soon.